I think the Texans have the quarterback advantage, and I just don't. I don't even see how it's a hot take. And if you're going to disagree, give me something other than he's the MVP. I got to get something other than he's the MVP. I need more substance than that, because we have a 4-game sample size of what Lamar Jackson looks like in the playoffs. We have a 2-game sample size of what C.J. Stroud looks like in win-or-go-home games. 2010, Tom Brady was the MVP. They were a 9.5-point favorite. They got beat by Bart Scott and the Jets.
Yeah.
2011, Aaron Rodgers was the MVP. They got beat in the divisional round as a favorite, an 8-point favorite by the Giants. 2019, Lamar Jackson, the last time he was in this situation, they were a 10-point favorite against the Titans. They lost by 16. And then in 2021, Aaron Rodgers, once again the MVP, they lost to the San Francisco 49ers. If you want to push back and say, well, it's a different system, they're more comfortable with this system, and Lamar Jackson's more equipped, okay. If you want to say he has better weapons now than he did back then, okay. But with what we're seeing from C.J. Stroud and what we've seen from Lamar Jackson, I'm going to need more than he's the MVP. And I'm a Lamar Jackson truther.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Lamar Jackson truther. You know this. Figgy, you know this. I'm a Lamar Jackson effing truther. I defend Lamar Jackson maybe more than any other athlete in the world. But we have a 4-game sample size of him being so bad in the playoffs that if you took his rating in the playoffs and you put it in this year's NFL, he's below Bailey Zappi and he's just slightly above Jeff Driscoll. Okay? That sucks.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you have C.J. Stroud. You have people gushing over C.J. Stroud. And even if you're on the Lamar Jackson side of things, I think people can at least admit that he has some sort of it factor. The numbers don't lie. His rating goes from 100 to 145. He has as many touchdown passes, and I'm not eliminating Lamar Jackson's legs, but C.J. Stroud has as many touchdown passes in one half of playoff football than Lamar Jackson does in 4 games. So it sounds crazy to sit here and say that the Texans have the quarterback advantage. Does that mean that it's set in stone? It can change. Peyton Manning, what was he, 1-3 in his first 4 playoff games? Mm-hmm. It can change. But I don't know how you look at C.J. Stroud and you look at what Lamar Jackson has done in the past in the playoffs when he's been MVP.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like some guy who was struggling and then all of a sudden, oh, well, he's playing the best ball of his life. He had as good of or a better season in 2019, and they got thumped in the first round. So if you're going to say that the Texans don't have the quarterback advantage, at least heading into this based on everything that we've seen and everything that we're seeing the last 2 weeks, give me something other than, well, he's the MVP.
Well, let's talk about that MVP thing. And that was one of the things that Ron said in the afternoon show.
And I think he is the MVP, by the way.
I think he is too. But let me ask you this question. Would Lamar Jackson be a slam dunk MVP if C.J. Stroud had the exact same season he had this year, but was a 3rd or 4th year player? Because there is a certain, at least for the large part of the season, the largest part of the season, a certain of, he's a rookie. Rookies don't win MVPs. But if he was like a 3rd or 4th year player, don't you think it would be like a neck and neck kind of battle?
I don't know if it would or not.
Yeah.
I
think so.
I think so.
Yeah, you could be right.
I think that's the other thing people keep bringing up. Oh, CJ's a rookie.
Okay.
And he's a rookie.
He's the MVP.
So it's just,
if this were his 3rd or 4th year, it would be neck and neck.
You're 100% right. He is a rookie.
Yeah.
But in that same breath, what else are people saying?
He's not a rookie.
They're saying he's Joe Burrow. They're saying he's Tom Brady. What did Joe Burrow do his first time in the playoffs?
Yeah.
We talk about underdogs going on the road in divisional games. Joe Burrow has won the last 2. He's been the last 2 times that has happened. It was last season and the season before. He went to Buffalo and beat the crap out of Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Year before that, he went to Tennessee and beat Tennessee. So it's cool. You can say he's just a rookie. I've watched him 2 weeks as an underdog in win-or-go-home games, and I've seen his play elevate from what you are saying could potentially be MVP consideration. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I've seen his play elevate, And then we go back to the Georgia game. I know it's college. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's the end-all, be-all, but that was the conversation. And it seems like we've kind of gotten a taste of that the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, he's a rookie. Yeah, Lamar Jackson's the MVP. So what? Are we watching what's going on? Like, are we watching what's going on, or are we just taking labels and eliminating the gray area and turning ourselves into simps? I don't even think it's a hot take. If you told me that the Texans... If you told me C.J. Stroud was a quarterback of the Ravens this season, I would say they're probably in the same position. Well, I don't know that Lamar's doing what C.J.'s doing.
I think when you talk about hot takes, it's something that's outrageous, that is maybe unique to you.
This just makes too much sense.
This is not unique to you.
Give me something other than he's the MVP, please.
Yeah, it's not unique to you, and it's not outrageous. Look,
does that mean they're going to win?
No,
maybe not.
No.
Like, Lamar Jackson could elevate his play. He could flip the switch. But he has been trash in the playoffs. Trash.
And let's not ignore his ability to run the ball. We cannot. You always bring that up, and it's correct.
Yeah, you don't minimize that.
It's a big, big factor. Maybe that's the deciding factor in his MVP. You know, he's minus 10,000 right now in Vegas to win the MVP. You can't minimize that. It gives him a distinct edge over C.J. Stroud when you talk about that type of threat. It's an edge. But when you put the whole thing together in the postseason versus the elimination games, as you've said, it's not that much of a difference.
And is a 4-game sample size enough? Like, I don't know. Is a 4-game sample size enough? I'm asking. Like, I don't know. Does that count? I don't know.
I'm curious to know what they were saying about Joe Burrow when he went on that run.
They said he's got the it factor.
Yeah.
They said he's got the it factor. That Joe Burrow guy, man, he knows how.
So did he have the quarterback advantage over Josh Allen during that time? I'm just kind of curious.
Well, it was his second year too, right?
The Josh Allen was his third, but they beat Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game. We haven't even gotten to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I don't even think Burrow had the advantage in that one. You know why? But he did have the it factor.
Yeah,
he did have the it factor.
His first year.
But Patrick Mahomes had a body of work of success in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson does not.
Right.
It matters. Like it 100% matters. I don't know how you can dismiss it. Sports are fluid. Shout out to Jean-Jacques Taylor, one of my mentors. Sports are fluid. It can change. Lamar Jackson could turn into a clutch mofo. And again, if you want to push back to this and you want to tell me, you want to say different system, better weapons, growing pains. The Tennessee Titans just knew how to smash him in the mouth and run the ball. The Texans don't have the ability to do that. Okay, but I need more than those 3 letters MVP.
Well, there's another thing here at work, and I think it's kind of like they're crossing their fingers and hoping that all those factors change Lamar Jackson in the postseason. Like when you read about all the things that are being said about Lamar Jackson in this postseason versus all the things about C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is it factor. C.J. Stroud is special. They're throwing around those types of words. With Lamar Jackson, there was a big, in-depth story about him on ESPN, and it was like, he has a different look in his eye. What? He has a different look in his eye? You mean he didn't care before? Like that's kind of what you're saying. It's different now. He has a different look in his eye. He's on a mission. It's almost like cross your fingers.
He looks like, I'll just be honest though, I think that's a lie. I don't watch him every day. Like I've never thought that Lamar Jackson didn't have the game face going into this game. Like he seems like the same dude that he's always been, which I actually admire. I like Lamar Jackson as a dude. I like Lamar Jackson as a football player. But we're talking about C.J. Stroud. We're talking about what C.J. Stroud's done recently. Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I just don't. I need a little bit more than he's the MVP. I need more than that.
And what is there? It's only the other stuff you talked about, like the system and whatever it may be, and defense and all that. But you can't just cross your fingers and hope it's better. He has to do it on the field. C.J. Stroud has done it on the field this year. And you also talked about, is 4 games a large enough sample size?
I'm asking. I think so.
Well,
it's kind of
it's 4 games in different years. And C.J. Stroud has proved twice as much in 2 games. So it's like 4 games. I mean, it's not like, C.J. Stroud's going to mop the floor with the Ravens. I don't know. I mean, their defense is really good. We talk about that.
Their whole team is good.
Their whole team is good. But is Lamar Jackson, is it like, okay, this is where it ends for the Texans because Lamar Jackson is so much better. No,
He could.
he's not.
I mean, he could go out there and do his thing.
I'm saying he might do it on the field, but he's not right now.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
To make you think that this is just some sort of advantage, unless you're just going to throw those 3 letters. If you got more for me, give it to me. We'll take it. 713-572-4610. Shout out to the loopholes. If you listen, you are one. All I know is this. If you told me that Lamar Jackson was going to go out there and not be as good as he was in the regular season, I would say, well, that's the norm.
Yeah.
We've seen that. That's even as great as he's been, that's the norm. He's a really, really good regular season guy. He falls apart in the playoffs. That's what's happened. I would say, okay, yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
Now, I would also believe if you told me he went out there and had a good performance, sure, he's capable of that. But if you told me he was just going to completely wet the bed, I would say, yeah, that's the norm. If you told me C.J. Stroud was going to go out there and be worse, it'd be the first time I've seen it. It'd be the first time I've seen it in over a year's time with some really, really big games.
I have another question for you. Like, well, it's not so much a question, but like in Baltimore, fans and people that follow the team are saying things like he has a different look in his eye, and they're saying,
what is that?
I don't know what that means. I'll read it. I saved the story.
He's got a different look in his eye.
I'll read some of the excerpts for you because it's hilarious.
What the hell does that mean?
But like fans and people that follow the team
squinting?
Are saying Lamar Jackson squinting are saying. They're thinking to themselves, they can win this game if Lamar Jackson doesn't have another playoff-type performance. In Houston, people are saying they can win this game because of C.J. Stroud. That's a big difference. How people follow this team and cheer for this team, they're like, oh, boy, we'll win if Lamar Jackson doesn't screw up. In Houston, we're saying C.J. Stroud will not screw up. They might lose, but he will not screw up. That's a big difference in terms of just the approach going into the game.
Landry Locker, John Lopez, Figgy Fig with you. 2 sleeps away.
2, baby.
Till Texans versus the Ravens. It's going to be a fun Saturday. I'm intrigued. Gun to my head, I'm picking the Ravens. Gun to my head, you put a gun to my head, I'm picking the Ravens. Mm-hmm. Am I making plans for 7 o'clock dinner when I make that bet? Hell no. Because of what I've seen from number 7, I'm sitting crisscross applesauce.
Don't make no plans for next weekend.
Hey, I ain't making plans.
You might be working.
Hey, games at 3:30, gun to head. Who you picking? I'm picking the Ravens. But honey, I don't know if I'm going to be at dinner tonight.
You might be at NRG next week. You never know.
Gonna have the locker room queued up.
I might be dead. might be having a damn funeral. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. It's a good football team. It's an interesting football team. The Ravens, they're preaching. It's 2 teams that are preaching things are different for multiple ways. Mm-hmm. One of them has been proven. Like the Texans, it's different. Like, regardless of what happens, like when you have D'Amico, you have CJ, it's obviously different. That's been proven. The Ravens saying it's different, the only way to prove it is to have success. They've set the bar that high. The only way that they can prove that it's different is by winning on Saturday. Because Lamar Jackson having an MVP season isn't new.
Yeah.
This isn't new. This has happened.
Yeah.
The Ravens being the 1 seed isn't new. It happened 4 seasons ago. So there's 2 teams saying things are different. One has proven things are different. One is set up to potentially do that, but they haven't proven it yet. That's the best way that I can say that.
No, and that's a good way to say it because they're going in with the thought of please don't mess up, Lamar. Please don't mess up. Please take it to another level. They're crossing their fingers, even though he's an MVP, and we just talked about that. That's not what we're talking about here. We're saying the Texans have a chance because C.J. Stroud will play well, and he will.